You keep checking your phone. Nothing. Hours pass, maybe a day. Then suddenly they return with one dry message, one soft line, one small sign of warmth, and your whole body lights up again. You tell yourself not to care this much, but you do. You tell yourself to stay calm, to not ask too much, to not ruin it, because some part of you still believes that if you become easy enough, quiet enough, understanding enough, they will finally choose you in a steady way. But listen closely. The real problem is not that they do not feel anything. The real problem is that closeness wakes up fear inside them, and fear makes people do strange things. It makes them step back right when the moment gets real. It makes them miss you and avoid you at the same time. And if you do not understand this, you will spend months, maybe years, blaming yourself for a pattern that was never fully about you. Stay with me, because this shifts everything. What looks like coldness is often panic. What looks like distance is often protection. And what keeps this cycle alive is not only their fear, but the way your heart reacts to it. If you understand that, you stop chasing shadows. You stop begging for crumbs. You stop trying to win love by becoming smaller. And that is exactly when your energy changes in a way they cannot ignore. Have you ever been with someone who made you feel like you were always one step behind them emotionally? One moment they were warm, open, smiling, present, and you felt chosen. Then the next day, it was like they vanished behind invisible glass. Not cruel, not direct, just gone in a way that leaves you with no clear reason and too many questions. You replay everything. Was I too emotional? Did I say too much? Did I ask at the wrong time? Should I have waited? Should I have acted cooler? That loop is exhausting. It steals your peace because it keeps you searching for the one perfect move that will finally make the connection feel stable. But this is where most people misunderstand what is happening. You are not dealing with someone who simply does not care. Many times you are dealing with someone whose system learned long ago that needing people is risky. Somewhere in their early life, dependence got connected to disappointment, pressure, shame, or emotional pain. So they adapted, they became self-contained, they learned to rely on themselves. They built an identity around not needing comfort, not asking for much, not showing too much. That strategy may have protected them once. But in adult love, the same strategy creates distance right at the point where connection is supposed to deepen. Watch this part carefully, because it explains so much. The more real love becomes, the more exposed they feel, and the more exposed they feel, the faster they may pull away. Real love always asks for something frightening. It asks two people to need each other a little, not in a helpless way, but in a deeply human way. It asks for trust. It asks for emotional risk. It asks you to say, with no guarantee, I care about you, I am affected by you, I let you matter. For many people, that is intimacy. For an avoidant person, that same feeling can register as danger. Their body can read closeness like a warning siren, not because love is bad, but because their history taught them that closeness can cost them peace, control, or self-protection. So right when the bond starts feeling warm, alive, and important, an inner alarm starts going off. They may need space. They may become quiet. They may act distracted. They may suddenly focus on work, routine, distance, logic, anything that helps them regain internal control. And now your system reacts. You feel them moving away, and your heart reads that as rejection. So you lean in harder. You text more, you explain more, you try to repair more, you become extra understanding, extra available, extra patient, but instead of bringing relief, that can make their alarm even louder. Now they are not only feeling vulnerable, they are also feeling overwhelmed. This is the trap. One person reaches for safety through closeness, the other reaches for safety through distance. Both are trying to survive. Both can care deeply, and both end up hurting each other without fully meaning to. Now here is the piece most people miss. Under all that distance, they still want love. They want it badly. They may not know how to say it, and they may not show it in obvious ways, but they do. They want someone who feels steady, someone who does not collapse every time they need a little room, someone who can love without turning every silence into a crisis, someone whose identity is not hanging by the thread of whether they replied today or not. They want warmth without pressure, closeness without feeling swallowed, space without punishment. They want a relationship that feels like a safe place, not a courtroom, not a performance review, not a constant emotional emergency. And this matters, so do not miss it. Their hidden fantasy is not a cold relationship. It is a relationship where they can breathe. They want a partner who has a real life, real depth, real center, someone who chooses them from fullness instead of fear. Someone who does not make them feel responsible for another person's emotional survival. When they sense that kind of grounded energy, something shifts. Their guard does not vanish overnight, but it softens. Their body begins to question the old story. Maybe love does not always mean pressure. Maybe closeness does not always mean losing yourself. Maybe care can exist without control. That is powerful. But be careful here. This does not mean you should erase your needs or pretend to be unaffected. That is not strength. That is self-abandonment dressed up as patience. A lot of people get trapped because they think the answer is to become easier and easier to handle. They silence themselves, they stop asking for clarity, they shrink their emotions, they act cool while quietly breaking inside. That never leads anywhere good. It only creates a false version of you, and eventually the truth comes out through resentment, exhaustion, or a complete collapse. The real shift is different. It is not pretending you do not care. It is caring without losing yourself. It is building a life so rooted and full that the relationship is part of your world, not the center of your entire emotional universe. So, when they go quiet, you do not stop living. You do not spiral for 6 hours reading old messages. You do not send long paragraphs trying to force understanding. You return to your own ground, your work, your people, your routines, your values, your sleep, your body, your purpose. And from there, your energy changes, not as a trick, not as a tactic, as truth. People who avoid closeness are often highly sensitive to pressure, but they are also highly sensitive to what is real. They can feel when your distance is fake. They can feel when your silence is punishment. They can feel when your independence is just theater. But they also feel when you are genuinely okay. They feel when you are strong without being hard, warm without being clingy, open without being desperate. And that kind of presence stays in their mind. It becomes difficult to dismiss because it does not trigger the same old fear. It offers something rare, a connection that does not demand surrender. There is usually a window most people ruin without realizing it. After an avoidant person shuts down or pulls back, there is often a period where they need internal space before curiosity returns. During that time, chasing usually makes things worse. Every extra message, every attempt to define the relationship, every emotional push can keep them in retreat longer. Their system reads it as more pressure, more demand, more closeness than they can handle in that moment. But when you step back with dignity, something else can happen. The distance begins to do its work. Their nervous system settles, the panic drops, the static clears. And then, many times, they begin to look around. They notice your absence. Not because you staged a disappearing act, but because your life did not stop to orbit their shutdown. That is important. You are not withdrawing to manipulate them. You are refusing to abandon yourself. That difference changes everything. And sometimes in that quieter space, they come forward again. They text. They ask something random. They send a meme. They act like nothing happened. That part can be frustrating, yes, but it also tells you something. They often return when closeness feels possible again. So if you want a healthier dynamic, you have to stop feeding the exact cycle that keeps both of you trapped. This is where mature love starts, not in panic, not in proving, in restraint, clarity, and self-respect. Keep listening, because the next part may save you months of confusion and emotional waste. Let's talk about triggers, because once you see them, you stop walking into the same wall. Repeated reassurance questions can overwhelm them fast. Asking, "Are we okay? Do you still care? Why are you distant? What changed?" can be fully understandable from your side, but from their side it can feel like a demand they are not ready to meet. Constant relationship talks can also wear them down. If every connection circles back to where this is going, what they feel, what they mean, what they are doing wrong, they begin to associate the relationship with tension instead of relief. Escalating when they go silent is another big one. They pull back, you intensify, they retreat more, you intensify again. Within hours, both people are dysregulated and neither feels safe. Long emotional speeches can also overload them, especially if they did not grow up with healthy emotional language. What feels honest to you can feel like a flood to them. This does not mean your feelings are wrong, it means the form matters. Timing matters. Dosage matters. Shorter can work better, softer can land deeper, cleaner language can be heard where emotional flooding gets shut out. Instead of unloading 10 minutes of pain, sometimes one grounded sentence carries more truth. I missed you this week. I felt the distance. I care about this connection, and I also need steadiness. That is strong, that is clear, that gives information without drowning the room. And yes, this takes discipline, but discipline is different from suppression. One builds dignity, the other kills your spirit. Now let's flip to what helps. Offer space before they need to fight for it. A simple line like, "I know you have a lot going on, we can talk later," can calm their system more than you realize. Show interest in their inner world without forcing disclosure. Ask something real, then let the silence breathe. Do not demand instant access. Many avoidant people have deep thoughts and strong feelings, but expression is slow because trust is slow. Consistency matters too. If you swing between calm and chaos, closeness and protest, patience and punishment, they will keep their guard up. But if your energy becomes steady, things change. Not perfect, steady, warm, clear, self-respecting. Have your own support system. Friends, work, faith, hobbies, creativity, movement, purpose. Not to make them jealous, not to play games, to become more alive in your own right. That does two things at once. It reduces pressure on the relationship, and it makes you more magnetic because you are no longer asking one person to carry the weight of your entire emotional world. Also, when they return after distance, do not meet warmth with revenge. Many people do this because they are hurt. They go cold to teach a lesson, but that often confirms the avoidant fear that closeness turns into conflict and emotional cost. If you choose to stay, then be steady when they come back, not fake cheerful, not erased, just steady, warm but not chasing, open but not collapsing. That is how safety gets built, slowly, quietly, through repetition, through a nervous system that no longer feels hunted. But let's be honest about something difficult. In order to love someone like this without losing yourself, you have to let go of the fantasy that if you do everything right, they will become the exact partner you imagined. Maybe they will grow. Maybe they will meet you more deeply over time. Maybe they will not. You have to grieve the version of the relationship where they naturally reach first, reassure easily, speak fluently about emotions, and make closeness feel effortless from day one. That version may never exist here, and if you keep worshipping that fantasy, you will stay stuck in endless hope, always waiting for the reward phase to come. Understanding someone's attachment pattern can help you love wisely, yes, but making their healing your full-time job will drain your life force. There is a line, and you have to see it clearly. Growth with self-respect is healthy. Shrinking yourself to keep access to someone is not. If you have to constantly edit your humanity to remain acceptable, the cost is already too high. Love should ask for maturity, not disappearance. It should ask for honesty, not self-erasure. It should ask for patience, not permanent emotional starvation. And here is the truth many people avoid because it hurts. If you are the only one studying the pattern, adjusting your behavior, calming your triggers, giving thoughtful space, and trying to make this work while they stay passive, detached, and unwilling to grow, then this is not mutual connection. It is you carrying the entire bridge on your back while calling it love. People can change, absolutely, but not because they were loved perfectly by someone exhausted and overgiving. They change when they decide to face the fear under the pattern. They change when they notice the cost of distance. They change when they become willing to tolerate closeness without immediately escaping it. They change when they take responsibility for the way they shut down, disappear, deflect, or go numb. And many who do grow say something similar. What helped was meeting someone who did not activate the old terror in the usual way. Someone grounded, someone whole, someone who loved deeply without cornering them, someone who had boundaries, someone who did not confuse obsession with devotion, someone who was there but not collapsing, caring but not consuming. That kind of presence can become a new emotional experience. Not instant healing, not magic, just a different pattern repeated enough times that the old belief begins to weaken. And from there, a new thought slowly becomes possible. Maybe I can stay close without losing myself. Maybe I can be cared for without being controlled. Maybe I can return after distance and not be punished for it. Maybe love does not have to feel like a trap. That is a beautiful shift when it is real, but it only becomes real when both people are doing the work. Both, not one chasing healing while the other hides behind old wounds forever. Remember that. This part matters more than all the strategies in the world. So if you love someone who pulls away, hold on to these truths. Their distance is not a measure of your worth. You cannot heal their fear by loving harder. Your own nervous system matters just as much as theirs. If you keep ending up in this pattern, that is not shameful, but it is meaningful, and it deserves your attention. Ask yourself what feels familiar here. Ask yourself why uncertainty pulls you in so deeply. Ask yourself whether you are trying to win now what you could not secure long ago. Those questions are not meant to blame you. They are meant to free you, because the strongest version of you is not the one who knows how to endure the most mixed signals. It is the one who can recognize real connection from emotional hunger. It is the one who can stay open without becoming naive. It is the one who can love and still walk away when love keeps asking for too much of your soul. Know your boundary. There is one reality where you grow, they grow, and the relationship slowly becomes safer, deeper, and more honest. There is another reality where you become wiser and steadier, but they still cannot meet you. Your peace depends on being honest about which reality you are in. You are not responsible for saving anyone from themselves. You can be a safe place. You can be a healing influence. You can model secure love, but you cannot carry another person into emotional readiness if they refuse to move their own feet. And now let me say the part that should stay with you long after this ends. The real dream is not to become unforgettable to someone who fears closeness. The real dream is to become so grounded in yourself that you stop mistaking emotional confusion for depth. Yes, when you become full within yourself, calm in your body, clear in your standards, and alive in your own life, you often become far more attractive to the person who once kept drifting away. That happens. But the bigger win is not that they notice you more. The bigger win is that you notice yourself more. You stop abandoning your needs. You stop begging for simple care. You stop twisting into impossible shapes just to feel chosen for one more day. You learn that safety is attractive, peace is attractive, consistency is attractive, and whether this person rises to meet you or not, you are no longer trapped in the old role. You are no longer the one waiting by the emotional door for somebody to decide you are finally enough. You already are. If they can meet you there, beautiful. If they cannot, painful but clear. Either way, you win your life back. And that is the kind of shift that changes every relationship after it. Stay with this. Read it again if you need to, because once you truly understand it, you do not love with less heart. You love with more wisdom. You love with more steadiness. You love without leaving yourself behind. And that is where everything begins to change.